I'm 26 right now, and therefore I'm with the 2% group, what you talked about. Is there still a future for me?
A future?
Yeah, because I'm with the 2% group, so I'll...
What do you mean the 2% group?
The 2%, you had a graph with with the kids, and you talked about that our abilities decline.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell by looking at you there's a future for you. But, but generally speaking, yes, of course, for everybody. I think a lot of these things I talk about are, you can recover them, you know, and they're different for everybody. The whole argument about being in your element is that we all have very different talents, and some people have never even begun to explore them. So no, I don't think it's over. I mean, I have a chapter in the book called "It's Never Too Late," and I really believe that. You know, I think as long as people are alive and drawing breath and they're willing, then there are opportunities everywhere. It's about being prepared to listen to yourself and to follow the things that really attract you. I always think of it as, in a way, it's like following your own internal compass. You know, I mean, if I look at my life and the things I've done, I didn't know I was going to do this. Like, it wasn't a plan, you know. I mean, people read out my CV at conferences and I'm really impressed. You know, I think, who is that?
Is it me?
Yeah, really, because and all I've ever really done in my life is tried to keep faith with things that interested me and move away from things that don't. And it adds up to a journey in the end, you know. And I think a lot of people, or too many in my experience, settle for too little, you know. They think, oh, well, what can I do? And actually you can do a lot, you know. If you create your own life and you can recreate it.
Yeah. And whether I'm almost finished right now with my education. There are so many possibilities. It's hard sometimes to pick which path you want to follow.
Yeah.
Study puts you in one direction, and perhaps a hobby and interest puts you in another.
Yeah.
How do I decide? Is it I have to follow my internal compass?
Yeah, I think.
So I'll start meditating then and listen.
No, you do need to listen to yourself though. You know, I mean, sometimes we talk ourselves into things that we know in our guts are wrong. I don't mean it's all hedonism. I mean, sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do because there are other factors involved, you know, other interests. You know, that happens when you acquire responsibilities. You know, you think, well, I can't just walk out of my job, you know, and think, well, that's the end of it. But what you can do is look at the balance of your life and think, well, is there still room for some other things that are just for me?
Yeah.
You know, and still do all the other things that you have to do. I don't mean always, you know, in being in your element, you have to do it for a living. Sometimes you can't make a living from it. But it's important for your own sense of balance and development that you do create time for those things, you know, things where you feel that you're most centered on yourself. But I know there have been times in my life where I would have done something that would have been totally wrong. I applied for a job once and I was convinced I was going to get it. I talked myself into it. And there was one other person up for the same job. It was with a big foundation. It was years ago. And I couldn't believe it, you know, at the time. It was how old was I? I was in my 30s, you know. And as far as I could see, by any objective measure, this was my job. You know, I was qualified for it, I knew about it. And actually, I kind of needed it too, you know, because I had a young family. Did I at that time? No, I didn't have it then, but I was kind of heading that way. And they gave it to the other guy. I couldn't believe it. I thought, you're mad, you know. How could you have overlooked my obvious talent for this job? But actually, it wasn't that long afterwards, a year or two, where I was so glad I didn't get it. Because I wouldn't be doing what I do now if that had happened.
Thank you, sir. Nice meeting you.
Dankjewel.
Jo.
Hoi.
Succes. Jo.